one of the hardest things about going to jail is that it's easy to get in, but it's hard to get out. And no matter age you are, sometimes, you being a teenager, they can charge you as an adult, and that can stay on your record, and that can be sometimes a hard time for you to get a job. And sometimes, people will look at that and will start judging you because of your background. Being in the system is something that I don't want to recommend anybody to be in. I don't recommend no one to go to jail. I don't recommend no one to get themselves in trouble. And for me, speaking of my experience being in jail and also after, I'm going to tell you everything that happened. I'm going to tell you everything that I know. And I hope that you guys can understand that it's a place for no one. I mean, you're losing your freedom. Basically, you lost your freedom. They tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Sometimes you will have guards there that will really mistreat you. Sometimes things can happen. People have died in jail. Here in Milwaukee, a person just recently died. Also, there were some cases where guys were actually raped and nothing was done. I have read some cases where these other guys were being treated like dogs, like literally being treated like dogs. And right now, I'm about to tell you all that I experienced, everything that happened. I recently did a video, actually it was like a couple of years ago. I was using flashcards on why I was in jail. I'm going to put the link under the description box below. I won't be talking about that now because I have already done that using the flashcards. So you guys want to know, you can just find out below. But I will be taking place right now what happened to me while I was going there. So this was around December 15th, 2003. I was 17 years old. And two detectives that came in since I was spending 3 days in the hospital recovering, really couldn't understand what was going on, but it took me 3 days to get my memory back, and I told them everything. And they said that, well, the crimes that you have done, you would have to be basically put in jail for it. So I'm like, okay, fine. And I was kind of scared because I didn't know who these guys were. Even though they showed me the credentials, their badges, I was kind of scared because of what happened to me previously. I didn't trust anybody. So I was just hoping like I was going to just maybe go home after this, but I wasn't. So it was cold, here in Wisconsin, it gets very cold. So they took me to county jail, they booked me in. So I was waiting there, was guys looking at me and just, they really wanted talking to me. They were asking me what happened, what's going on and stuff like that. So I try to keep it, level and try to keep my head balanced. Like, this is a new thing to me. I didn't expect none of this to happen. So as I went into this place, they took pictures of me, fingerprints, all that, and I went to this area that apparently they call it the bullpen. And people were waiting around. Guys were on the left side. It's about maybe at the time, probably like maybe 40, 30. And then the other right-hand side, there was women. So it was like a great division, like split apart where you can probably talk and yell like that, but it was supposed to be a quiet place or anything like that. And if you do get out of hand, the guards will simply, correct you. So in this bullpen, this place, it can only fit probably like maybe 5 to 6 people, and there's like a bench, toilet there and stuff like that. So if someone had to use a bathroom, and it smelled there, it smelled bad there, and you just have to just turn your head and not look. But the smell was still there. There's no air fresheners there. Food that you would get, maybe sometimes a guard will pass food out and just only get like peanut butter. I'm sorry, not peanut butter, but bologna sandwiches. That was it. I'm thinking about peanut butter. That's why I'm sorry. But only like bologna sandwiches. Sometimes you get like a package of ketchup, mustard, and that's it. There's no water bottles there. There were like faucets there and things like that you can drink from, but I was in that place for maybe like close to an hour, hour and a half. So they called me up, and since I had suffered from an injury, they took me to the infirmary. The infirmary was a place where people were injured there, and diabetics, those who were pregnant, women were there too. Some women were there, but it was really a close area that we were in, and always watched. We were always watched. They had a TV there, games there, and things like that. And wake up time was, I think, 7 o'clock. That was breakfast, and then lunchtime was 12, and I believe it was maybe like an hour or 2 hour, like, you know what I'm saying, rest before and after, and lockdown was like at 9 o'clock. I was there even on Christmas, and my mother would come and see me once a week, and the sadness that was on her face, you know, it stayed with me because it was something that you didn't want to see your kid, your son, your daughter going through, knowing that you bring them into this world and you don't expect them to get in trouble with the law. And my bond was set at 30, I think it was 30,000 or $50,000. And I was asking my mom, like, you know, behind the glass windows, like, that you can find that because I don't want to be here. And mom was like, I'm sorry, I can't, you know. And I was like, all right. So we talked, and I told my mom everything what happened to me when I was locked up. Some people in the family knew. Was able to call them when I can. You know, the guards there were actually okay. Like they were kind to us. And but you know, like I said, this was a new environment. This was a new place that I wasn't prepared for. And I had to get surgery a couple of weeks later. They were supposed to get my mother's consent. They were supposed to get my parents' consent because I was 17 at the time, even though I was charged as an adult because of the crimes that I had committed. But they were supposed to get my parents' signature, and I heard one of the guards there that was taking me to the hospital said that, you know, just force a signature. Honestly, if anything were to happen to me in a bad way, if I would have suffered the wrong, or maybe you know, as they was doing surgery on me and something would have happened, it actually would have been on the county. It actually would have been on their fault because they forged my mom's signature. And when I told my mother about it, you know, she was really upset. So like I said, I really couldn't call her and things like that. We had to have like phone privileges. And but everything went well. The surgery went okay, and I was afraid too because, like I said, what happened to me prior to being locked up, I didn't trust nobody. I was afraid of everybody who I was around, honestly. Even though I had, when I got back from surgery, I went to the infirmary and I stayed for like a couple of days, and I left there and I went to a different pod. I believe on each floor, I haven't been on each floor, but I think on each floor there's like 4 pods: Pod A, Pod B, Pod C, and Pod D. The different pods. So I was in different floors, and the reason why I was going through different floors was because there was times that I didn't want to eat. Like I was led not to eat. Like I was led to fast, basically. And they looked at that as maybe like, you know, I'm trying to maybe commit suicide. I'm trying to starve myself to death or anything like that. And so they took me and they sent me to the hole. And like I didn't know it was called fasting during that time. Like this was a new experience to me. Like I didn't know what was God doing, you know. So it was such a warfare there that was I couldn't see. I was just feeling, you know, it was just such a feeling, like a deep feeling there. Like I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to do. You know, so they took that, like, okay, you know what? So they sent me to the hole. And in this hole, you know, they kept close watch on me. I talked to a psychiatrist that was there and asking me things like what was going on. I'm just blurring out stuff that I really couldn't remember what I was saying. It wasn't anything bad or stuff like that. So they kept a close watch on me, and I think again I was back eating again. I was back to my normal self, and then next thing you know, I was going off the wall. Like, I didn't want to eat. I stayed in my room. Sometimes I was naked in my room. Sometimes I didn't sleep in the room. I was walking around, pacing back and forth. Like I didn't know what was going on there. I'm sorry, with me. And they seen me, and it was like, you know, what's going on? I couldn't. It's like I didn't want to reply to them. I was afraid. It was just such fear. So apparently there was something that was called the cell extraction or extraction cell, where these guards would come in. They were all they had like black suits, shields, baton. Maybe 5 or 6 came in, and they told me to stay against the wall. Like they would yell my name, get against the wall, and times that I didn't. And I'm like, you know, I'm sitting there like, for what? You know, I was sitting there praying and stuff, and came in and they just bum rushed me, like face planted to the wall, to the ground. They lift me up. It was such pain. I didn't know if they hit me. I didn't know, but I know the only thing I can tell you is that it was such pain on me that I was like shivering. You know, like these guys came in and just messed me up, threw me against the wall, ground, and it was. I just closed my eyes and didn't want to move, but it was all done by force. because I didn't know what they was doing to me. I didn't know where they was taking me. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. So they basically laid me down. They strapped me up into this little place where I don't know what was it called, but they strapped me down. There's just like black bandages over me. I couldn't. Only thing I could move is my toes, my fingers, and probably my head to the left, to the right. That was it. And I was there in that position. I was there in that bed for about maybe 10 to 12 hours. And if I had to use a bathroom, either I'm gonna hold it or I'm gonna just leak on myself. And that's exactly what happened. So I had to stay in that spot for a long time. Sometimes I can sleep. Sometimes it was very cold. There was no space heater, no heater going on. It was cold there. It was dark. Um, at times the guards would come in, they would check on me, and they would check on me by not going in, but like looking at the window. I mean, looking through the window of the cell, and what they do is that they will actually cut, like this is my sock here. They would actually cut this off as my toes would be showing, and just to see the discoloration of my toes, and they were like, okay, something's going on. If they were purple or black, then yeah, but they were actually okay. Um, Still, I kept praying. Still, I kept talking to God about, what was going on. I'm sorry. I try to remember the verses in my head, what I'm saying, as if it's to keep me calm. Like I said, this was kind of like the first time me having this experience, and then me also having a first person experience with God, at the same time. So my head was kind of like screwed up with what's going on, but I just try to, I didn't know what to do. Sometimes I wanted to stay in jail. Sometimes I wanted to get out. I didn't know what to do. I was really just honestly losing my sanity, I can say. I was losing my mind there. And with this shot that they gave me, they also shot me up with this thing I believe is called Haldol. And they shot me up a few times, my butt, my arms, where they can find a vein here. And the side effects of that to me personally, it made me so paranoid to the point where I was afraid of even living. Like it was so, I mean, everything just like, it made me just really be stiff, and I'm just looking around and making sure that nothing happens to me there. Like it was total fear, just paranoid to the hundred. And it wore off. It faded away maybe like a couple of hours later, but I was like just scared, and they used that to kind of like calm me down. And I was just, it was bad. That shot was bad. And I remember they shot me up maybe 3 or 4 times and stuff. So and one time when I was there, I was chewing my fingertips and writing my blood on the wall. One time I tried to drown myself in the toilet. Another time I was also eating pages off the Bible. I tried to use the cast that was on my arm to scrape my neck so blood can come out, and it didn't show. Another time I was almost drinking my own urine. I was going crazy. Even though I went through that experience, prayers of family and people writing me letters, just trying to keep my head above waters. It kind of helped me out a lot. Reading the Bible also. Like this is my first experience ever reading the Bible, so I didn't know what was going on. But it seemed like as I was reading it, it's like God was just talking to me through the words. I didn't understand about visions. I didn't know these dreams or prophecies and things like that. I'm just reading it, and it's like wherever I turned to, it was like He was just talking to me. So as it happened another time. It kind of happened again, like a couple of days later. I'm okay. I'm fine, talking to people, reading the Bible with them, and praying for them. And then it happened again, where I didn't want to eat. I'm looking like, okay, what's going on? And it came in again. The cell extraction, guard suited up against the wall, and then it shot me up again. I'm like, oh crap! So I was in that same position again as I was before. um, yeah, it was tough. I can say it was painful. Basically, it was very painful. Even being strapped down, it was so tight where I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't move. They used the bathroom on me, and I told the guy like, "Hey, can I get out?" It was like, can't do anything. So I was like, so basically in that place that I was there, I didn't know when I was getting out. Facing the judge every now and then, them telling me, "Okay, we'll just hold on to another month or to another week." So. Uh, um, So honestly, as you guys are just listening to me, I do want to tell you that it's not worth getting yourself in trouble with the law. It's not worth that. It's not. Wrong place, the wrong time, with the wrong people. I have been there, and it's not worth it at all. It's not. It's not worth being caught up in the system. You do anything to keep your freedom and do the right thing with it. My mom had to get an attorney, not the state attorney that was there in a jail, because it was just like I said, it was telling me, hey, plead this and do this. I'm looking like, no, dude, like no. Um, I was there from December 15th, 2003 and I got out. My last day was February 4th, 2004. I was looking at 70 years prison. At the age of 17, being charged as an adult. I had 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors on my record. Now, as I got out, I had to see. I had a probation officer. I was on probation for about 7. You're supposed to be for 7 years. Couldn't go anywhere. Couldn't leave the state. I really didn't have a need to leave the state anyways. Even though I was invited to Chicago once, I'm like, nah, it's okay. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I had to drop once a month. Sometimes it was once a week, and it was once a month. I had a social worker as well that encouraged me with education and keep my head above high waters. But with the probation officer that I had, the one that I had at first was maybe with like a year, and they had to leave, and I had another one that took his place. I remember this. Um, I actually had to go and drop, like a P test, whatever. And like I said, I was clean. Like after the incident happened to me, I don't think about ever going back, honestly. So wasn't drinking, wasn't smoking, none of that, and didn't want to, didn't have a need to. Still like that to this day. So as I was out, I was done with the P test, whatever, and I went to the receptionist because my probation officer was supposed to stay there and wait for me, and they decided to go back. And I looked at them like, where you going? This person just went right back to the office, and I couldn't go past that entryway. So I talked to the receptionist, was like, why did my probation officer leave? I wasn't finished. Well, apparently they told me like, well, you're gonna have to just wait until next time. And I'm like, well, why did that person leave? Like, that's my probation officer. They was not supposed to leave until I was done. Until I had gave her this, this test, and said they can't do nothing about it. I said, well, could you call that person back? You call the probation officer back. Say they can't because they're with someone else now. I'm like, all right. So I went home, and hopefully I didn't get in trouble for that. And then the next follow up meeting, my probation officer told me like, why did you leave? And I'm like, well, why did you leave? Like, I didn't leave, you left. I try to talk to receptionists there, and you decide to just go back into your office. And still, they was kind of like putting blame on me as if, I just escaped. As if I escaped or left them. I'm looking like, no, you left me. So they kind of like didn't want to hear it. And, this, my probation officer said at one time, like, if this happened again, I can't lock you up. I'm looking like, well, I just didn't want to argue. I'm looking like, you shouldn't have left. I said that in my head, like, so it's kind of like really making it hard for me sometimes. And I told my mom at the time, my mother was upset, like really mad at my probation officer, but I didn't want her to get involved and things like that. So, and I had an opportunity to get an early release, and I took that with the quickness because I don't want to deal with that anymore. I really didn't want to deal with none of that stuff because I wasn't too sure if she can get me back locked up. And I remember hearing some cases where, the convict, so they were actually being out, they were working, and then apparently something happened where they got themselves back locked up, where the probation officer didn't like them, or they was using their authority to, to be manipulative to them, and things bad were happening. And it's not worth it. It's not worth having a probation officer. It's not worth getting in trouble and being in the system. It's not. Because you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know who your probation officer is, and they can do anything. it wasn't worth it at all. And it was tough, honestly, and I did not like it at all. I did not like what was going on. When I heard about the early release, and I finally got the early release, and the judge said, "Okay, permitted, you're free to go." I didn't have to deal with my caseworker no more. I didn't have to deal with the social worker. I didn't have to deal with the probation officer. Like, I was out there doing flips. I was so happy, like I was free, you know. And even though I was free, I still respected the law. I definitely respected my body. I was not going to put any drug in it at all. No smoking, no drinking. Not even hang around people who do it. Um, but that was my experience. And I know some people ask me about, anything sexually happened. Like I said, none of that stuff didn't happen. I didn't witness that. I didn't see that. I didn't deal with that. I didn't. There's a lot of stories that can be different, but honestly, I did not experience that stuff at all. But what I did experience was pain, was paranoia. I experienced sometimes mistreatment, um, this trouble, basically. And I hope this message was clear to you. If you got any questions, concerns, you can write me and I'll do my best to answer them. I want you guys to take care and please share this video. If you have children, you know what to do. All right. I love you guys. Take care of yourself.